Hey everyone, it's Simon Hurley and welcome to another live stream. It's been a little while since I've gone live, but I'm so excited to join you guys tonight to share a brand new free gift with you, a bunch of discounts that have already started leading up to Black Friday, and we're gonna do some crafting together. So sit tight. If you're joining me tonight, maybe you're making stuff for Thanksgiving dinner already. I know me and my mom today already went out. We went out into the rush at Costco and had to go get a pumpkin pie, of course, which I'm gonna be bringing to my Thanksgiving this year. But I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, whatever you happen to be doing. I'm also waiting tomorrow because the next season of Stranger Things is coming out. So if you're a big fan of Stranger Things, let me know in the comment section. I can't wait to see what happens there as well. I think it's been about 4 or 5 years since the last season came out, so I have been waiting very patiently. So rest assured, that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Now, before we get into tonight's live stream, I wanted to let you know that right now at scrapbook.com, you can get a free Stellar ink pad in the color Prom Queen. And we're really going to be basing a lot of the live tonight around this color and what we can create with it, along with using other Stellar ink pads. But if you've seen my Stellar ink pads and you've just been waiting to try them, now is your chance, okay? The way you're gonna do this is go down to my link down below where it says get your free Stellar ink, click on that link. You'll add the Prom Queen ink pad to your cart. It'll show up as full price right away, but once you get your cart to $35 or more, this will be free in your cart with your purchase, okay? So that's super awesome. I'm so excited that scrapbook.com is able to give you guys this for free. I know you're adding money into your cart in order to get it, but it's awesome because you get $35 worth of actual product and then you get a free ink pad on top of it, which is amazing. Now, while you're shopping at scrapbook.com, there's also a discount code down below that I've given you, which is savings. So you can add this freebie to your cart. You can use the discount on top of it. So you're really saving a ton of money already leading up to Black Friday, which is so exciting. Now, this is while the supplies last. So definitely grab it while you can. I'm not sure how many they have left. We had a pretty decent stock, but I know it's been going fast. I got lots of emails that you guys are loving the Stellar inks. So if you've been waiting, this is your time and your chance to grab onto the Prom Queen Stellar ink pad. Now, let me turn on my work surface and we're going to do a little bit of stamping with this color and just show you exactly what it looks like because I love Prom Queen ink. Okay, so let's turn down here. I'm gonna grab a piece of my Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock. The Stark White cardstock surface sampler pack is also back in stock at scrapbook.com. I have this linked down below somewhere in my supplies list, but what's awesome about this is if you've also wanted to try the Stark White cardstock, this comes with 2 full sheets, 4 card panels, 2 top folding card bases and 2 side folding card bases. So you really have lots of cardstock to play with before you commit to buying a full pack of the Stark White cardstock. The Stark White cardstock is super bright white, which is awesome. It's really nice and thick as well, so I use it for my card bases and all my layering. But then I also love it because it just takes ink really nicely. There's no coating on top of this cardstock that other cardstocks might have, so it takes the color absolutely beautifully, whether you're blending, stamping, or even doing a little bit of watercolor. Now to do my stamping, let me go in with these stamps. I love this stamp set. This is called Leaf Prints. I didn't link this one down below, but definitely search it up at scrapbook.com if you're over there. This is one of my favorites. It's got like these kind of grungy looking leaves. But back on topic, let's talk about this color here. So I'm going to cling this down onto my acrylic block, and then we'll do some stamping. So using our Prom Queen ink pad, which this is the color you can get for free. And you know what would be even cooler? There's other Stellar ink pads there too. So if you want to like start your whole collection, you can add like a bundle of Stellar ink, get your $35 worth, and then you'll get that free Prom Queen color on top of it. All right? I'm always encouraging you guys, use the $35 for Simon Hurley products as well. I'm kidding, but you can use it for anything you want to get to that $35 threshold. But let's go in here, and whenever you're stamping with Stellar inks, this has that foam ink pad, which is nice and squishy. So all you need to do is just really lightly tap, and that's gonna give you a ton of ink onto your surface, okay? You don't need to tap with a lot of pressure or anything like that, and you'll get really great coverage on top of that stamp. So then we'll go in here and stamp this right down. Now, these stamps are just a little bit grungy, but they're pretty solid, so you can really see the amazing color that it stamps. Check that out. But yeah, there's a little bit of grunge, so it might look like it didn't stamp perfectly, but this stamp is so crisp and solid. Check out all of those amazing details. And like it even leaves all that grungy details. Even though the ink pad is really juicy, it doesn't fill in too many details, which is amazing as well. So let's go in and then let's show you how to blend and watercolor with this as well. So I'm gonna go in with my Simon Hurley blending brush. This is the medium size blending brush. I'm gonna lightly tap into my Stellar ink pad. We'll maybe tap off to the side just a little bit and then start blending onto our surface. And oh my goodness, it blends so beautifully and smooth. I absolutely love it. And of course, if you want more color, go in with a little bit more pressure on your ink pad and also with your blending brush, and it's gonna give you even more color. And this is what's awesome about the Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock too. It's good to have a good quality cardstock and a good quality ink, because with this, it just takes that color so beautifully and it doesn't stop. So you can keep really layering that color up until you get a super solid, bold, and rich color. I am obsessed with that. Okay, and then let me go in and show you another feature that I really love about these Stellar inks, which I've been doing a lot lately, is you can actually take the ink pad direct to cardstock and swipe it like this, and that creates your own colored cardstock. Now it does use a little bit more ink off your pad, so do I recommend buying a re-inker? I do recommend buying a re-inker. If you've had the Simon Hurley ink pads and the color reads the exact same, so if you have Simon Hurley Prom Queen re-inker, it'll still work in the Stellar ink pad, as long as the name of the color is the exact same as the name of the color on the pad, because the Simon Hurley formula was the exact same formula as the Stellar inks, and all you need to do to re-ink your pad is just really lightly go in there. These have kind of sharp tips on them, so just be very careful and almost hover above, and that'll give more ink into your pad. You don't need to do that every time you use it, but especially if you're using direct from the pad, you're gonna deplete the ink a little bit more. So I highly recommend getting the re-inkers along with, but you guys are going to love this ink pad if you decide to get it for your freebie. Again, all you need to do is follow the link down below, use that link, and it'll take you to the page for the Prom Queen ink pad. It'll say it's full price, but you'll add it to your cart, and then you can add $35 or more, and the ink pad will become free in your cart along with your purchase. Yes, Elizabeth says re-inkers are a must. I've been using them with watercolor too, which is awesome, but the re-inkers are definitely a must. With the ink coming out of the pad a little bit more easily, you're going to run out of the ink a little bit easier, but it's gonna give you such a crisp and beautiful stamped impression without any effort too. So that's the awesome part about the Stellar inks. And now let's get into creating some cards together using the ink pads. I am so excited. So I'm gonna go in here and just quickly clean this up. And we'll grab a little bit of paper towel and wipe it off our surface here. I just recently bought new rags and didn't bring them into my craft room, so I'll have to get those next time that I bring in my craft room here. Okay, so let's jump into our first card. The first card I'm going to be creating involves a little Santa image. Now I have everything prepared for tonight's live in these little craft stacks containers. I have these linked down below as well from Spellbinders. These come in a pack of 4, but I love them so much because they're stackable, but they also have little lids on them too, and you can fit a whole card project in here, so it helps me prep all of my card work for you guys when we're doing lives like this. But it's really great if you're traveling with your supplies or if you want to prep things before you go. It's amazing for that. I'm gonna go in with the Sparkling Star stencil, which just recently came out in one of my Christmas launches. I can open this guy up, and this is a layering stencil. So if you look inside the packaging, you can see a really great example that's in here. And of course, this stencil is in the brand new material, so it's gonna be very nice and durable. And let's go in on our grip mat. I'm using this all-to-new grip mat, which I keep inside of this little scrapbook.com sleeve. And this is so amazing to work on. I'll be sure to link this down below. I think I forgot to link it, but I'll link it down below after the live stream. I love these all-to-new grip mats because this one is 9 by 12, so it's a really great size to work with, but it's got a gridded surface on the back, and then it's got a flat surface on the front. And the flat surface is going to be what grips onto your project as you're working, which is amazing. I'm gonna go back into my Stark White cardstock sampler pack and grab another Stark White card panel and place this right down onto my sticky mat, and that's gonna hold it right into place while we do our work. Okay, so then I'm gonna go in with this stencil. Now, let's see. For this stencil, it has these little etched names. You see that? Sparkling Stars 1 and Sparkling Stars 2. You want to be able to read those names, and that's how you're going to know that it's going to line up perfectly and that you're on the right side. If you have it flipped and you can't read it, then it's not going to line up correctly, okay? So that's why we do the etching, to make sure that you know what side you're on. And then I'm going to go in here and place this right down onto my cardstock. All right, And then I'm gonna just press this down, and you can use either side of the stencil. It's not gonna matter because this is the new material. With the older material of our stencils, which I'll go in here and show you guys, this is one stencil that's in the older material. You can tell because it's a little bit more yellow as well. But the difference, nothing is wrong with these stencils whatsoever, but the difference between them is one side is glossy and one side is matte. If you're using these older stencils, place the glossy side down towards anything sticky. If you place the matte side down, you might accidentally peel off the coating. It doesn't affect the stencil at all, but it'll just look clear then. So you definitely want to stick it down with the glossy side facing down. But we've recently revamped our stencils. It took us quite a while to find the perfect factory, but both sides are glossy and perfect, so you can lay either side down and it doesn't matter. Okay. Then let's go in with Prom Queen. Another one of my favorite things about this mat is when you place your ink pads down, they stick into place. So this isn't gonna move while I do my blending. So it's kind of a one-handed operation, which is awesome. We'll go in again with our Simon Hurley medium blending brush and just go in and lightly blend this down. Now the awesome part about the medium blending brush as well is that it's got the handle on the top rather than the handle being on the side of your blending brush. So you really have a lot more control with this brush. So you can really control how much pressure you're applying, whereas brushes that have the handle on the side, you kind of press down and it kind of just lightly like moves out of the way and gets a little bit tiring for your hand. Whereas this, you can really control how much color you're putting down with the pressure that you apply down to the surface. Exactly, yes. The older stencil material totally still works, and they just might look a little bit weird if you accidentally place that matte side down towards a matte. Mrs. Blue also says she feels like the new material is easier to clean. Well, that's awesome. That's a great bonus. We really made sure that it was glossy, but it wasn't too glossy. But yeah, it does seem a little bit smoother too. So I'm glad you guys are really enjoying the new material of these stencils. We worked hard on them for sure. My team will tell you that we struggled for a long time to make sure they were perfect. All right, then let's go in with a little mini ink blending brush. I like these guys from Altenew. These are their little detail blending brushes, and I'll go into the Prom Queen ink pad. And one thing that I love about the Stellar Inks formula is that it's a water-based dye ink. So what that means is as you layer it up on top of each other, the color is just gonna get a little bit darker every time you layer it. And that also is super helpful about using it on the stark white cardstock because again, the cardstock doesn't have a coating, so it takes the ink and it keeps taking the ink rather than stopping at some point, so your color can be really crisp and dark. And all I'm gonna do is on different sides of each one of these stars, I'm just gonna go in and tap on a little bit more ink in that area. And you can see, I mean, Stellar Inks blend absolutely stellar. That's why we named them Stellar Ink, right? Because they do everything very stellar with stamping, watercoloring, and blending. But I mean, the blend is just effortless. When we first made these inks, this formula, the Simon Hurley formula, I went in with the chemist at Ranger, and we worked really hard to make each one of the formulas different. And I went in and made sure that the stamping and everything was perfect about it. But then we were about to manufacture the inks and I went back in and I was like, hey, can we make these blend even a little bit better? And that's one thing about my inks that is just absolutely amazing is the blending is just so good with it. The smoothing agent that it has in it is just so nice and it blends like a dream, like butter, right? And any one of you guys who has these inks can definitely attest to that. The blends are amazing. Okay, so I'll just go in and I'm just adding a little bit of shading on one of the sides of all the stars. This just gives it a little bit of depth and dimension. This is something you totally don't need to do, but I'm just doing this to add a little bit of depth to it. You guys know I can't help myself sometimes when it comes to adding depth. Even though it takes a little bit more time, I find that sometimes these little details really bring a handmade card to life and make it look so 3D and dimensional. Okay. That looks good. I love that. And it almost creates like a berry red color when it gets nice and dark like that with that second layer. I'm obsessed with how it looks. Okay, so let's go in here and lift this stencil off the surface. And let me go in. I'm gonna just grab one of my rags quick. Let me grab a microfiber cloth because this is what I use to clean. I highly recommend these guys. I'll link them down below afterwards too, but they were on sale for Amazon's Black Friday, but I just love them. They're little black microfiber cloths. I know microfiber isn't everyone's favorite, but for me, it's just so easy and I like it better than always using paper towel. So I use these mainly for inks and stuff like that and water. I don't use them for paste as much because the paste will kind of get stuck in them and make it clumpy and stuff. But for inks, these rags are amazing. I'll lift this off the surface. And another way you can really easily line these up is, again, make sure you can read that in the corner again. But what I'm gonna do is place this down kind of in the corner of where my last stencil was and line it up on the edges there. And that way when I pull this guy out, the stencil below it, that grip mat is nice and sticky. But when I pull that stencil out below it, I at least know exactly where to lay that next stencil down. So do you see that? You just kind of line it up right over top there and then lay it down. I think it shifted just slightly, but really easy, and you can tell that's pretty much the exact place it needs to be. Now this stencil doesn't need to be exactly perfect, but what's awesome about this is there's little tiny sparkling stars in between each one that we're gonna color in with a different color here. And I think for this, what should I do? I think for this, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of yellow ink. So let me go in with Shooting Star. And we'll bring this right in on one of my medium ink blending brushes. So easy to do, especially in such a small area like this. And just bring this all around. And that stellar ink is nice and bright. I love it. So beautiful. And if you guys were to just buy 3 stellar ink colors, because I know sometimes people ask, what I really do recommend is like 12 stellar inks, at least to start out with, and get it in like a rainbow color assortment. But if you really don't know if you like them and you just wanna try something, definitely get them in Prom Queen, which is the free color today, okay? Shooting Star, and then Clear Skies. These are my 3 that I always recommend if you just want like a really small palette to start. That way the Prom Queen and the Shooting Star blended together can create an orange in between, and Shooting Star and Clear Skies create a nice green in between, and then Clear Skies and Prom Queen will create a purple in between. So that way you get a little bit of a rainbow as you're blending to try them out. But then I recommend like choosing a nice rainbow in some of the bright colors that you actually would use the most, depending on what you use. Because if you use, more muted colors, like if you use Slippery When Wet instead of Shooting Star, I'd recommend this as your yellow. This is more of like a mustardy. And I'm just gonna bring this kind of mustard color in and just do a couple of the stars. Again, you don't need to do this, but I like to go crazy with making sure there's some dimension in it. And adding a little bit of other colors will do just that. Okay, going over to get them now. That's awesome. Yay, I'm so excited that you're going to try them out. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe this stencil off, and then let's see, should we go in and add just a little bit of extra dimension? I think we should. And for this, I'm gonna go in and use one of my pastes. Now, I have some clear pastes in the Astro paste line, okay? There's Frostbite, which is completely clear with clear glitter in it. So this is gonna give you kind of an icy look. And then there's these 2. This is Phoenix Feather and Unicorn Horn, okay? Phoenix Feather has a warm kind of iridescent glitter to it, and Unicorn Horn has a cool iridescent glitter to it, okay? So these little sparkles on the packaging are how you're gonna know what kind of tint is in the paste. And for this one, since it's a yellowy color that we're using, I'm gonna go in with Phoenix Feather to add to these sparkles, okay? So we'll just go in here, and I'm gonna really go in and just make sure the stencil is nice and clean, so there's no color on it. We don't want that color residue to be picked up by the paste. And then let's go in with our palette knife from the paste tool set. And I'm just going to go in, since this is such a small area, and just really gently put this through all of the little sparkle areas of our stencil. And no need for the scraper tool right now. I'm just using the little palette knife, just because there's such a little surface area that we're covering with this that it's really easy to just spread through these sparkles. All right, have you guys tried these pastes yet? These ones just came out. This Phoenix Feather and Unicorn Horn just came out, and I am obsessed with them. They're some of my favorite just because they're so versatile that you can put them through your projects, being clear, so they can go over top of any ink or color that you've added down and not cover anything up, which is awesome. There's a little bit of yellow to this paste, can you see? A little tiny bit tinted. So I'm not gonna put that back into the jar. You could take this and put it onto another project, like another piece of cardstock, and then die cut from it. So let's see. I could go in and just place this right onto a little black cardstock and put none to waste, and this will make me a little sparkly area that I can cut like a little sentiment out of. Okay, so don't waste any, but sometimes if that clear gets tinted, you don't want to put that back into your jar. So that's why I recommend using a little bit less of the clear ones than you would think. because you don't want to contaminate your jar and you don't want to waste any. Let's peel this right up. That is stunning. That's looking amazing already. I love those pink stars and that really great sparkle that you're going to get from that paste. Now, the Astro paste doesn't have, or it has a clear base, but it doesn't look clear right away. The reason being is because clear bases sometimes can be kind of slimy or gel-like, and I didn't want that. So I talked to the chemist at Ranger, Brian. He's absolutely amazing, so shout out to Brian if you're watching. But he is amazing, and I wanted him to make this kind of similar to a lunar and solar paste formula. So that's where he created this paste, but it's a little bit cloudy, okay? So you might think that you ruined something or you covered something up, but once it dries, it'll go to that clear color. It just is like that for the consistency, okay? So we'll set that off to the side to let it dry, and then let's clean our work surface. Okay, to clean everything off, I'm gonna go in, and I'm just going to wipe this glitter off. For this, I use a little bit of paper towel instead of using the rag, just because there's some glitter, and also with pastes, we don't want them to get stuck to that rag. So I'll just wipe this up, nice and clean, and then we'll clean it off our surface. Okay. Super easy to clean up. And then if you want to clean up any of your sticky mats, if you guys use these sticky mats as well, what you're gonna do is go in with a little bit of water if there's any ink. Now mine is very well loved. I've had this for over a year and it's still going pretty strong. And all you need to do is go in with just a little bit of water and a paper towel, and that will clean off some of the inks. Now there's some residue from my older inks on it because sometimes it stains, but then once this evaporates off the surface, it will be nice and sticky again. You can see it's already becoming very sticky. So I'll definitely link this down below. It's the Ultinew Sticky Mat. If you're shopping at scrapbook.com with my link right now, you can just search up Ultinew Sticky Mat, and the 9x12 one is this version, which is awesome. Okay. And let's put that down. If you guys are just joining, I do want to remind you right now, if you use the link down below, there is a free gift with purchase at scrapbook.com. So all you need to do is add this Prom Queen ink pad to your cart using the link below, and then add $35 or more, and this will become free in your cart, which is awesome. You can also use the discount code SAVINGS and stack that on top for an extra 13% off. So there is a lot of deals and discounts right now. I have links to other deals and discounts down below too. I think there's a deal going on at Glassboard Studios, which is my glass matte surface, so you can get 20% off of these. I highly recommend those. Mine is a magnetic glass surface, and there's also 25% off at Gina K. So use those links and the discount codes down below if you want to help support me and shop those amazing sales for Christmas gifts or some craft presents for yourself this year. All right. Now let's jump down to my work surface. I'm gonna go into my craft stacks now because I've already prepared some things to finish off this card. What I've prepared is a stamped image from the Christmas Hugs stamp set. I've stamped down this Santa image in my black ink, and then I've clear heat embossed it. Now I stamped this down onto Simon Hurley smooth watercolor cardstock. This watercolor cardstock just recently came out and I absolutely love it. One side is completely smooth and one side has a little bit of texture to it. I stamp it down on the smooth side whenever I'm doing my watercoloring, and I'm gonna show you just how amazing this colors in with your Stellar inks, because if you were getting that Prom Queen ink, you're gonna wanna see how it watercolors amazing too. So I thought today, because the Prom Queen is the one that is free today, I decided we're going to be watercoloring in a pink Santa, which I think is gonna be so fun. So with Stellar inks, the awesome part about them is the ink just releases so easily out of them. So all you really need to do is take your ink pad, and let's do a little bit of bee sting as well. I'm gonna use a little bee sting for some shading. Take your ink pad and really lightly tap onto the surface, and that's gonna release so much ink for you to watercolor with, okay? Do they stay wet long enough for you to heat emboss with? I haven't really tried that, but I'm assuming maybe if you're really quick with them. Okay, then we'll go in with a little bit of cookie dough, which is a new color. I love this one. And then let's bring in a little bit of woof, which is an older color in my Simon Hurley line, but the older colors are still amazing. Now I can't find the old one, so I'm gonna go in with shady. I can't find woof, it's somewhere on my desk right now. So we'll go in with shady, and actually, wait a minute. Shady is in the new Stellar ink range too. But let's add that down onto the surface. We'll just water that one down a lot. And then let's do a little bit of Stupid Cupid too. Okay, cool. All right, let's go in then with a little bit of water on our surface. I like to spray down a little bit of water on my glass surface because if I have a cup of water in here, I know that I'm going to end up spilling it, so I don't do that. I spray down my water here so I can get my watercoloring done. Okay, then let's go in with our paintbrush. I just use these cheap little artist brushes from Ranger. I really like these guys because I would ruin a nice quality paintbrush, so I just get these paintbrushes and they work honestly really well for me, so I really like them. Then whenever I'm doing my watercoloring, inks are a little bit different. They're a little bit of a different beast, and I always like to start off, even on watercolor cardstock, using a layer of water. That is going to make sure the inks don't sink right into the surface of the cardstock, and it's going to give them a little bit of time to move around and blend on the surface. So a little bit of water goes a really long way with this to start off, and then I go in with my color. Now, whenever I start off with color too, I always kind of bring a little bit off to the side, especially with these stellar inks because they're strong. And then I like to just kind of really water down the color a little bit because it's going to be pretty intense, and then do a nice wash of that color all throughout. Okay, so I'm doing just a lighter wash of Prom Queen. You saw how dark Prom Queen is, so you can see this is much lighter, the wash of color we're going in with to start off. Okay, but you can see it's blending well on the surface because we added that water down first. That is really the key. So if you're struggling or you're like, hey, my color is sinking in right away and I can't blend it on the surface, that really stinks, try adding more water down first. Then, if you want a darker color and you want to add a little bit of shading and depth and dimension to this, you can go in with less water and then blot on that darker color, and it's going to blend in really beautifully with your lighter color, okay? Because we added all that water down. But I wouldn't start off with the darker color. This is just what I do to add some shading and depth to it. Okay, so like wherever like things meet, so like where that beard meets the body, I'll add a little bit of shading. Around the edges, I'll add a little bit of shading. There's no real, I mean, there is some rhyme or reason to it, but if you want to just add it wherever, you totally can. It just adds some depth and dimension to the image. Okay, and then we'll go in with just the tiniest little bit of red too, and we'll just dot that off into the edge there, just really close to the edge. That's going to give even more depth to this, and just blend it in. Check that out. You get such a beautiful blend. And hey, if you think that something's too stark, like if you think, hey, that's not really well blended, go in with more water and just blend this out on the surface. And check that out. Amazing. And the watercolor cardstock, yes, Una says, the watercolor cardstock seems more forgiving. It definitely is. And also, look at this. No warping on the cardstock, or very little, and you can add a lot of water to it, which is absolutely amazing, okay? So barely any warping, really awesome. I'm loving that. Let's go in and do the hat now. So I'm gonna go in and add a little bit of water down to the surface of my hat. And then let's go in and add more color down. So I'm doing a wash of that Prom Queen color to start out with. A lot of you guys are saying you need to work on your shading or coloring. Definitely. Practice makes perfect with this. So definitely keep working on it if you are struggling with shading, but it's really fun, and I hope that these tips at least help you with getting a little bit better shading if you're struggling with it. So again, if you want more shading to it, go in with that same color and dot on a little bit more with less water. That's going to give you more blending. And then we'll even add some beasting with barely any water right into the corner there. And I mean, look, when I'm watercoloring, I barely use water when I get to those darkest colors. That's just gonna make sure it doesn't like bleed and blend all over the place too. Because if you have like a puddle of water, that might also be why you're struggling. Sometimes people use a little bit too much water, and then it just becomes kind of a blob of color. Okay, now let's see. I missed a color here. I wanna use a little bit of Slippery When Wet too for the belt. So I'll just go in with that. Oh, I missed this. Guys, you didn't yell at me down here. This is supposed to be pink as well. So let's go in here. I need you guys to yell at me in the comments when I'm missing something like this, right? And then let's go in and just shade that in quick. If I'm not talking and I'm not explaining it, it goes even faster. Like this might seem like kind of a long process, but it's pretty quick once you get the hang of watercoloring with these inks. It's a little bit different than real watercolors. They're a little bit less forgiving just because they sink right in. But once you add the water down to the surface, then they become more forgiving. It's only when you really try watercoloring just straight away without preparing the cardstock, that's when they're really unforgiving because they won't really blend for you then. They'll sink right in. So definitely add the water down first, and then they'll become very forgiving for you. That's my biggest tip. When I learned that about inks, when I was like, okay, well, if you add the water down, then they really work with you. That's my favorite tip to give to people if they kind of struggle with watercolor. That makes it 100 times easier. Oh, I guess you guys did try to tell me. Sometimes I struggle reading the comments as I'm going, so please forgive me if it seems like I'm ignoring you or not reading your comments. Sometimes I just get really focused into it and don't look up all the time. So at least you guys did try to tell me here. Okay, I'm gonna go in and blend. Now, sometimes when there's a smaller area, like here with his skin tone, you can get away with not going into the water right away. And that's what I do sometimes, but do as I say, not as I do. I'd recommend water for pretty much everything to start out with. And then let's go in and do a little bit of blush using a little bit of Stupid Cupid, watered down, and I'll just add that in his little cheek area here. How cute is that? Okay. And then let's do, oh, his nose. I forgot his nose. Let's do his little nose there. And then let's go in, and I'm gonna use Shady. Now I would usually use Woof, which is my way lighter gray, but I'm gonna take Shady off to the side and really make it super light with just a ton of water. Okay, and then we'll go in and do Santa's hat, his snowball, and we'll just blend that in with water. And just add the shading kind of on the sides there. Add even more water. Cool, and you can always blot it off with your finger too. That's one of the things that I do a lot too, is blot it off with your finger if you think you added too much, or if you think there's too much water, you can always blot a little bit. But I'm going in, you can probably barely even see this color, but it's just the lightest little gray color, and I'm just doing that on all of these areas that are supposed to be white, but white always has a little bit of shading to it, so that's what I do. Just add little bit of depth and dimension there. You can probably see just a tiny little bit. And I'll add a little bit more to his beard too. And again, pretty forgiving if you add, too much color down there. You can always go in with a little bit of water and blend that into each other. All right, cool. That looks great. There is Santa Claus all dolled up with the Prom Queen ink, coloring it in and using all of those colors. So I wanted to show that, just to really show you how amazing these inks work with watercoloring. And then check this out, we used our Simon Hurley watercolor cardstock, and look, again, pretty much no warping. How awesome is that? And I'm gonna go in and just quickly use my heat tool to just heat set this a little bit more to dry it before we go in and do our die cutting, okay? Still, very minimal warping even after heat. This watercolor cardstock is so amazing. And I'm pretty sure I have it linked down below, and if I don't, it's called Smooth Watercolor Cardstock, so you can look it up, or I'll link to it after the live too. Okay, then let's go in. I'm gonna go in with my Simon Hurley Scout die cutting machine. This is my little black die cutting machine that I did with Spellbinders. And I'm going in with my Spellbinders coordinating die set that goes along with this set. There's little dies for everything in this set, and I love it. Especially with these little detailed guys. You just want to go in with your little die, and then you'll bring in a little bit of mint tape to hold it down for when you run it through our die cutting machine. Okay, just make sure there's a nice even white border all the way around your image before you go in and tape it down. That's going to ensure you cut it perfectly. You want to hug Santa back? That's awesome, Margot. I love that. I know, he looks so fun, right? Looks so adorable. So I'll go in here. I love this little die cutting machine mainly because it has little metal rollers in it. So the metal rollers are the same strength as your platinum die cutting machine that's full size. But this is of course nice and small. So you really have a lot of power while you're die cutting, but what's great about it is you can take it on the go, you can leave it on the side of your desk. I took this guy to Starbucks once and die cut there, which is awesome. So you really have tons of ways to use this, and it also has a pretty wide and long area too to die cut with compared to other little die cutting machines. So let's pop this guy out, check out the amazing little white border and just how perfectly that Santa image cuts out. And then we'll put the die back on the set. Hello, Patricia. This is her first time here. Everyone welcome her in. Thank you for joining. So awesome. And then let's go in here and bring in this background. So the background you can see is pretty much already dry in those paste areas. It was a very small amount of paste that we used, so it dries very quickly. But you can see how that yellow color comes back and it's got that really brilliant looking sparkle now to it. I love that, I'm obsessed. Okay, so let's trim this down. I'm gonna use the decal trimmer for this, I think. I really like the decal trimmer, especially for like holiday looking cards. It's become one of my favorite things. So I'm gonna go in here and just decal trim these edges, just a little bit on each edge. This Tim Holtz decal trimmer is awesome because the decal is different all the way down. So if you want to change up the decal effect, all you need to do is move it down and you'll get kind of a different decal on this edge, or you can bring it into the center. And again, get a completely different decal, but it almost just looks like a little torn edge on the cardstock, which is awesome. Another thing that I like to do with this is once you've got the decals going, it's then easier to go in, and do this at your own risk, by the way, to go in with scissors. This is the Spellbinders scissors, which is really great quality. And I just sometimes go in and I rough up that decal even a little bit more to look like ripped cardstock. Now you don't have to do this. You could just totally leave the decal as is, but I'm just showing you. This is an option, and this is sometimes what I do indeed do. So, don't know if you're supposed to do this at your own risk, don't cut your hand, but I do this sometimes just to add a little bit more texture to the decal and even make it look more random. But having the decal there to start out with kind of helps to start it and get the texture there. And I don't do it like everywhere, so that's why I like to have the decal there first. And then it gives that really awesome effect. Sometimes too, I like to go in with a little bit of Prom Queen ink once, or like whatever color ink that I use, but since we use Prom Queen, I'll go in and I'm just gonna tap this on the edge and it sort of catches onto those areas. Let me wipe off, I added a little too much there. But you can see, it kind of catches on that edge and dyes it that specific color in those areas that you're doing. So that can be kind of fun. You can kind of dip it into there. I'm just gonna lightly tap instead of rubbing it on there. I don't wanna rip the foam pad by being too rough with it. So those light taps are gonna get us just a lot of color on that edge. But look at that. Then it colors it in. I love it. Okay. So just a fun little way to use that decal edge, but I just like it, I don't know. It just gives it a little something. You could totally skip that if you want to, if you think I'm crazy for that, but I think it's fun. Okay, then we'll go in with one of our card bases from the Stark White Sampler pack. I love that. And I love these card bases because they're already pre-cut and scored for you. So all you need to do, this is the side folding one, all you need to do is just fold it right down onto itself. And then let's go in with a Teflon bone folder, fold it down, and then you'll score it. And I just love that they're already done for you, so it's really easy. You don't even have to think about it. And then we will go in with our tape runner and tape this guy down right to the background. Awesome, and you can see that torn looking edge and the ink on the edge really stands out now. You guys might have been like, oh, why is he inking that edge? It doesn't look like much right away, but it just gives a little bit of a border. So if you're not doing cardstock underneath, this can give you that kind of finished look using the ink along the edge, and it gives that kind of torn effect. I think it's really cool. Okay, then let's go in with our Santa image. I'm gonna add him kind of right in the center like this, but I want to add down my sentiment. I've already heat embossed with clear heat embossing on some Stark White cardstock, the sentiment that says "You slayed this year." Okay, and then I'm gonna go in with my scissors, and I'm just going to, let's use these Spellbinders ones, trim this right down on each edge. Just like that. And then I'll go in, trim it down into the center, like this with a little cut there. And then I'll create a little fishtail banner. So to do this, you just go from the outside edges and meet up in the middle. So just meet up right in the center there. And it looks something like that. Okay, then we'll do it on this side again. Go in, cut in once, and then cut towards that cut from both edges, And this creates an adorable little fishtail banner. That trimmer was a decal trimmer. So it was the Tim Holtz decal trimmer. You can also find that on scrapbook.com while you're getting your free ink pad tonight. So then I want to color this in. I want to make it my own colored cardstock. So to do this, you could of course swipe on the surface, but to make it a little bit cleaner because we've already cut this out, I'm just going to go in with my blending tool and I'm going to blend the Prom Queen ink right on top of this banner. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want this, the banner to exactly match the project. And so to do that, instead of just using a random pink cardstock, I'm gonna go in and show you guys, you can create your own colored cardstock using the Stellar ink, which is amazing. How incredible is that? And then we can go in and wipe this off. Those letters look a little bit pink, but because we heat emboss them, the heat embossing is like a plastic once you heat it. So once you wipe it off, any of the excess ink, it becomes nice and bright white. So cool. And then let's go in and put this together really easily. So all we need to do now is go in with a little bit of foam tape. Where did I put my foam tape? That's a question for someone, because I have no idea where it is. Well, we're gonna go in with something else that we've been working on, which I don't know if I'm allowed to sneak peek this, but I'm going to. So I'm gonna add a little bit of foam tape right down onto my sentiment. And if anyone asks from my team what this is, just don't tell them I told you guys. But this will be coming sometime next year. And it's this really awesome foam tape that you can actually see through. But I'm not gonna tell you much more about it because I don't wanna get too much in trouble. Okay, so I'm gonna lay this right down. We'll put the sentiment right below it. I love this You Slayed this year. That is so fun, and I love that it's all in pink. I'm gonna give it to my best friend. Her favorite color is pink, and she is going to love this card. But then you know what's so awesome about that foam tape? Watch this. You can barely see it from underneath. Okay, like especially in person when you're looking on the side there, that looks like almost completely transparent, which is awesome. Okay, but don't be telling anyone. Don't be telling anyone I'm telling you this, because I really lost my other foam tape. I have no idea where it is. So I'm gonna have to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Okay, we'll go in and cut this down for Santa as well. Then let's go in, peel this off. What I like about this foam tape too, I'm not supposed to be telling you too much, is that the backing is really easy to peel off. So if you have a foam tape where you struggle with the backing, I mean, right as I say that, of course, I'm gonna be struggling, but it's because the foam tape's not completely stuck on the other side. But this foam tape, the backing is much easier to peel off than a lot of the ones I tried, which was a big must-have for me. Okay, and then let's go in, sneak this right underneath that sentiment banner, and center him up on the card. And it's super sticky. Okay, I know, you guys heard nothing. Cover your ears, right? Okay, but how awesome is this card? Here is a look at the finished card. I love that background, using the sparkling star stencil to layer it up, using Prom Queen, and then of course using that yellow with the sparkle from the phoenix feather, and then showing you really amazing how to color it in, watercoloring with Stellar inks, which is so much fun. I love it. You slayed this year. This is gonna be so much fun to send to my friend who just loves bright pink like this. All right, if you guys are just joining in the live stream, I hate to keep doing this, but I don't want you guys to miss out on this deal. There's a ton of sales already going on. I know it's only Tuesday in the Black Friday week, but right now this Prom Queen Stellar ink is a freebie at scrapbook.com while supplies last. So to get it, all you need to do is click the link down below where it says get your free Prom Queen ink here. You add this to your cart. It's gonna show up as full price right away, but once you add $35 or more to your cart, you then get this for free, which is awesome. So you get $35 worth of product, and then you get this for free. So amazing. And you can also use the coupon code SAVINGS at checkout and you get an extra 13% off. So deals on deals today, which is really amazing. Now let's, again, turn back down on my work surface because we're gonna keep going and create a whole nother card. So I hope you guys are gonna stay with me for that. For this one, I'm gonna go in and create a little background. And for the background, I'm gonna go in with this sparkling snow embossing folder. I love 3D embossing folders. I create them with spellbinders. So I'm gonna go in with another piece of stock white cardstock from my sampler pack. And whenever I do any sort of 3D embossing, I like to make sure my cardstock is nice and ready to form to the embossing folder. So to do this, I'm gonna just spray it down on either side, a little mist of water, and then I'm going to go in and lay this right into our embossing folder. And what I love so much about the Spellbinders embossing folders is they're nice and large. So you can choose where you want it, or you can do this with a 5x7 card, which is amazing. Then let's go in with our die cutting machine. And to do the 3D embossing folders, the sandwich looks a little bit different, okay? So we're going to take out most of our plates and just keep the A platform base inside of here. Then we're going to go in with our 3D embossing folder and cardstock. And then we're gonna go in with our D adapter plate right on top, okay? Then we'll run this right through our die cutting machine to emboss it. And this is gonna give it a ton of amazing texture. I love these 3D folders. Spellbinders does such an amazing job. So we'll go in, pull this right out, and check out just how incredible all of that texture is. 3D embossing folders never fail to amaze me just how stunning they are. They're so cool. So let's go in here. Let's see, is this gonna fit on there? Yeah, okay, that's a little sneak peek of what's to come, but don't look too much there. Okay, then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna create a little hill. So I'm again going in with another piece of stark white cardstock, and I'm just gonna bring it right in here and create a little hill on my project. So give it a little cut there. And I'm gonna kind of make a smooth cut, but you can see it's got a little tiny bit of curves to it. And this is going to go right at the bottom of our project. So I just did that to kind of measure out how much space we're gonna have down there and how much we're gonna need to blend on our surface, okay? So to do our blending, I'm again going in with this sticky mat. I'll place down my snow here, and then I'm gonna place this right kind of close to it, just so I can tell where I need to really blend and focus my colors. And then let's go in and do our blending. So for this blend, I'm gonna go in with Slippery and Wet, and I'm gonna go in with my stencil brushes. These are my Simon Hurley medium ink blending brushes. And I'm just going to start off with the yellow at the bottom here. And we're gonna create kind of a sunset scene. So starting off with this really great golden yellow color. I love Shooting Star. This just came out recently in the latest launch of Stellar Inks. And these ones are absolutely amazing, beautiful colors. I love it. And then let's go in next with a little bit of Prom Queen. So I'm going to go in here with my next color, Prom Queen. And the Prom Queen is gonna look great in this blend. You can tap off any color if you want it to be a little bit lighter. And I'm telling you, once you blend the Prom Queen into yellow, you get this like beautiful golden orange color. I'm obsessed with it. So I'm going to make sure to overlap the color where they meet, because you're gonna get a beautiful, totally brand new color. And again, look at the blend. I'm telling you, they just blend so seamless and effortlessly. It's amazing. And then when we carry it up a little bit more, I'll go a little bit heavier handed with that pink in this area. We want nice and dark pink up there. Then for my next color, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Midnight Snack. So we'll bring in a little bit of Midnight Snack right at the top there. And then when we blend in Midnight Snack to Prom Queen, you're gonna get the look of purple there. So definitely overlap these colors because they're clear, they're transparent colors. So when they overlap on top of each other, they're gonna create brand new colors in between. So it creates such an awesome effect. That looks absolutely beautiful. I'm obsessed with that look. And if you want to make the blend even smoother, I mean, it looks really smooth already, but you can always go back in with the other blending tools and kind of blend back in between. But I'm really loving this, how it's looking. So amazing. And if we want to, we can go in with a little bit of water and just spray the water down. Do I want to? I think I will. I'll go in with just a little bit of water, because the awesome part about Stellar Inks is they actually react with water. So this is gonna almost look like stars in the sky. in like a nighttime sky, because once it reacts, it kind of bleaches the color in that area. So we'll lift this off of that mat, and we can kind of heat set this to help dry it. You don't need to heat set it though, but if you heat set to help dry it, it will kind of intensify those areas and continue to bleach that color a little bit to create a lighter color in that area, which I think is awesome. Okay, so beautiful. I'm obsessed with how this looks. And then let's go in and clean this mat off. So I'm just going to use a little bit of water to clean it off. Clean off any of that excess ink that's on there. And then let's put this off to the side. Then let's do our hill here. So to do this, I'm going to go in with a little bit of paste. And for this time, I'm going to use a little bit of that unicorn horn paste, because I want this to look like snow. So I'm gonna go in here with my finger and just pull off a little bit of that paste, and we'll add it to the top of that hill. So just add a little bit down there, all along the edge. I'm not adding too much, but you could add it thicker if you want to. Just all along the edge, and then we'll slowly and lightly tap down a little bit, and that's gonna just bring the paste down a little bit more on that hill and create kind of like the look of fallen snow on there. I love it. And that unicorn horn is going to give us like a bluish purple look, whereas that phoenix feather gave us kind of a warm glow of color. So cool. And you kind of capture some of that texture as well as that amazing sparkle. And once this dries, it's going to dry in a matter of minutes. You're going to get such a beautiful, do you already see it sparkling? Especially in the thinner areas, you already can see that formula sparkling so much. It's amazing. Okay, let me set this off to the side. And then let's work on our polar bear. I am in love with this polar bear set. We released it earlier this year and you guys have been absolutely loving it, and I can't wait to create it again in today's video. So let's go back to our work surface here. Again, I'm working in my craft stacks containers. So I've already got lots of the pieces of the polar bear cut out. This is in a set called Polar Bear Pals. This is amazing because you get a sitting polar bear that's a little bit bigger. You get a little sitting polar bear that's smaller. And then you get this polar bear that's walking, as well as a ton of accessories like poinsettias. You can add lights around its neck, little hats and scarves to both of them, and a sweater. There is a ton of stuff in here, which is amazing. So let me go in here and pull out all of these little pieces. I'll kind of dump them on my work surface for you here. And we can just show you how to really create this super easily. Now with the polar bear, I do like to add a little bit of shading. And to do this, I'm going to use a little bit of woof, which is that lighter color. This is the gray that I was looking for earlier. I should have looked just a tiny bit harder because it was right next to me. And I'm going to just tap off some of the excess because we want a really light gray. And I'm just gonna go in here with this little Altenew blending brush and just add down the tiniest little bit of gray all along this polar bear, okay? I'm using white cardstock for this. And like I said, white animals and white objects and stuff like that usually have just a little bit of gray to them. And so I just add a little tiny bit of gray shading. This woof color is perfect for that. And it adds such great dimension to your images, okay? So I'll add a little bit of shading down using woof, and then I'll also go in and add a little bit of shading and dimension to the hat too. So this is using Prom Queen. I've already got some Prom Queen ink on here, so let's see. Yeah, there's already quite a bit of Prom Queen ink on my little blending tool, and I'm just gonna blend that down. Again, another great way for you to use your stellar inks is you can add some shading and dimension to die cuts. I always do this to really make the die cuts stand out and pop off your card making projects. That is super helpful. So I cut out a lot of the images already, and the polar bear is so easy to put together. So let me show you, all right? It's so simple. So all we need to do is go in, we'll start with these back legs. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of liquid glue, and then all you need to do is I like to take this on my little grid mat and just line up the feet. So we'll line up those back feet kind of with the front feet here and place them right behind the die cut. And that's going to glue them in place. All right. And then you have those little feet down, which gives it a really great 3D look. I love it. And then for the eye, we're gonna go into the back here, add a little bit of glue down. And these little kind of square pieces are going to be what the eye is. So really easily, you can just add some glue down there and place that down. All right, so you can see that little tiny eyeball now. And then on the front, there's a little room for a nose and a little blush piece, okay? And all you're gonna do is add a little bit of glue in those areas. Those are etched lines, so they show you where to line things up. And then I'm going to take my little blush, add that down. I'm using a little picker tool from scrapbook.com. Excuse me. And then my nose, I'm gonna put right here and just glue that right down to the polar bear. And this little picker tool makes it so easy to get in place and maneuver it around until you've got it perfectly lined up. So there is your adorable polar bear. How simple is that? So easy to do. And then we'll adhere together our little hat. So all you need to do for this, again, add a little bit of glue down, and then you can add down the brim of the hat. Okay. Adhere that right down. And then for the top of the hat, we're gonna just glue a little bit up there and add down this little bauble. And how adorable is that? Then we can put that right on his head. Oh my gosh, so cute. Oh, I love it. Should we add that down or should I keep his ear? I don't know, I kind of like his ear. Now I'm second guessing it. Is this hat, maybe this hat is only for the little sitting guy. Yes, because you can put it around his ears. I just don't like how that ear looks covered up, but I guess you could do that too. Just like that. But I'm keeping it off of him. I like him just natural like this. But for the other little guy that's sitting, you'll see in the product images, I used the hat on his head, but I want to keep this guy without the hat because I want to see his little ear. Otherwise it's like, is that even a polar bear? Okay. Now let's start adhering some of our things together for this card. So for this, I'm gonna go in with the sampler pack again and grab out a stark white card base that's top folding. Now, if you like the pieces from this sampler pack, all of these are sold individually. So if you end up liking them, you can get these pre-scored and cut card bases, you can get the card panels, and you can get full-size sheets of stark white cardstock. So this is just a great way to test them out, and scrapbook.com has this sampler pack available for you. Okay, so let's start off by just adhering this background right down to our card with a little bit of tape runner. All right, and whenever I have a full background like this, I'm going to go here, start at the top corner, and then I'll follow along at the top edge, and that lines it up pretty much perfectly down the rest of the card. So you can just lay it down and it should line up with your card there. Perfect, and I'm loving this blend. It is so gorgeous and just bold. I love it. That prom queen color really makes this stand out. So then with the Astro paste, this is pretty much almost dry. One thing that I love about my paste, you can see it got a lot sparklier, is that it's pretty heat stable. So if you want to, I like this Ranger Heat It tool because the heat's more dispersed, even though it's still very hot, it's more dispersed. So you're easily able to go in and heat set things. Just keep your heat tool moving as you do it so that you don't bubble any of the paste. But check out how beautiful and sparkly that is once it's all dry. And it's got kind of a blue iridescent sparkle to it, which is awesome. Now, let's go in and stamp a sentiment down. I'm going to use a sentiment from one of my winter stamp sets. Let's see, should we do this? I kind of like this, but let's see. I think there should be like, I'm gonna use this one. I liked this one. I don't know why I didn't just go with it. This is from Retro Holiday, and I just like Happy Holidays. I like that. That's just simple, and I like the font. So let's go in with that, and that way it's not too Christmassy because this is more of like a winter card. Happy Holidays is cute. And I think there's a die that you can use with this, but I'm just gonna stamp it straight down. How about that? I'm gonna stamp it with one of my acrylic blocks. Now I know I probably should use a stamping tool for this, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna believe in my Stellar ink, this Black Widow color, and I know that Stellar ink just stamps pretty perfect every time. So really light taps, especially for sentiments. I'm gonna line this up on my grids so I can kind of see it a little bit better. And then just pray that I don't mess it up. Hold your guys' breath. And there we go. That's stamped perfectly. Like I said, I believe in the Stellar ink formula, and it does an amazing job with stamping, I can tell you that. Okay, let's go in with a little bit of foam tape again. Cover your eyes. You have no idea what you're seeing right now. And we'll go in and cut a little bit of our foam tape. And this stuff cuts beautifully as well, I've got to say. We did good. Okay. So we'll just add this right down onto our background. That's going to hold it nicely in place. Okay. And then we'll add this right down to the bottom of our card. Oh, this is coming together beautifully. I'm obsessed. And that foam tape just holds it down perfectly. I mean, this was warped, but look at that. That foam tape kind of unwarps it a little bit at least and really keeps it nice and stuck. That's amazing. Okay, and then let's go in with just a little bit more foam tape to hold down our polar bear. And especially for little critters and stuff like that, this clear tape is gonna be so nice because you don't wanna see that underneath those guys. So this keeps it just a little bit more hidden and a little more see-through. Yeah, you guys have no idea what you're seeing, right? Wink, wink. Okay. And we'll just place this right down onto our hill. And oh my gosh, this is so cute. I'm obsessed. Okay, we have one more thing to do here. I am loving this. So adorable. Look at those sparkles on that snowy hill too. And these background colors are just incredible. I'm obsessed. Okay, the last thing that I did beforehand is I cut out this background. This is the Frozen Flurries cover plate die. It's got a ton of detailed snowflakes all over that cut out on the background and a border as well. But then what this does is check this out. It cuts out all these snowflakes, so of course you can keep popping them out if you want to. I didn't pop all of them out, but it's really easy to do. You can kind of just wiggle this back and forth and the snowflakes pop out quite easily. And I run this just a couple times through the die cutting machine just to make sure that all the details cut out really easily. But then, like, look at this. I want to use some of the smaller ones. I love these smaller little flakes for backgrounds like this, where you just want to add little details throughout to make the card really come to life. So let's grab these really little ones too. And I mean, like, how cute is this? Should I add one on the snow there? Maybe one above his head. I mean, is that cute? Should I do it? I just think it's adorable. I think it's such a great way to add a little bit more kind of embellishing to a card. I don't usually embellish my cards too much, but this snow die, this one is called Frozen Flurries. I think there's only a couple left at scrapbook.com. So if you're doing your shopping and you want this guy, now is your chance. Because I don't know if it's retiring or if it's getting restocked, because this is 2 years old at this point, but it's just one of the best cover plate dies ever. You can use it as a full background, or you can use all these little pieces separate. So I love that about it is you have the options. But I think this is such a cute touch that we're gonna need to finish off the card. So again, I like this little scrapbook.com pick tool, and then we can go in with a little bit of our glue, pick these guys up off the card, add a little dab of glue down onto the card, and then glue these guys down. And oh my gosh, they are so cute. I'm telling you. Little tiny snowflakes have my heart. These guys are so good. Okay, so just a little bit of glue here and there. And I just do them kind of in clusters. This creates like a little visual triangle. So 3 different areas. You got the snowflakes in. And that just helps when you're kind of visualizing something. It just gives it an easier look. All right. Let's go in over here. Glue that guy down. Cute. Then last but not least, and I love how little tiny bits, like how many little different sizes there are. You got really big ones in there that we've avoided, but then you've also got these kind of medium, and then you got small, and then really tiny. And I love that you can just kind of sprinkle those throughout and keep the sizes varied all throughout. I'm loving it. Yeah, that cover plate is a must-have. There's a couple available at scrapbook.com. I think there's a couple available at Spellbinders too. Some of these dies are on sale at Spellbinders when I linked down below. So definitely check out the dies. I think the polar bears are like half off. So check out Spellbinders too. I have them all linked down below to different sources, but Spellbinders is gonna be amazing. So here is that finished card. I'm absolutely in love with it. That background with the sparkling snow texture looks amazing. And then blending those in with the really beautiful bold colors of Stellar ink looks awesome. And again, blending them in with different colors, like that's the prom queen, and you would never know, because with the orange and with the blue, it creates different colors in between that are gorgeous. And then finishing it off with polar bear pals and also the frozen flurries is an amazing way to finish this off and really embellish that card so nicely. I love how these 2 Christmas cards turned out, really focusing in on different techniques using the brand new Stellar inks and using that prom queen color, which you can get at scrapbook.com right now as a free gift. So definitely hurry on over there and grab your Stellar ink. So again, using the links down below, I'm covered in paper over here. Using the links down below, you can get your free prom queen ink pad by going there, adding this to your cart. Then you'll need to add $35 or more to your cart of craft supplies, preferably Simon Hurley supplies, but it doesn't need to be. And then this will turn free in your cart, which is awesome. So you can get your hands on it for free. And then all you need to do is, again, you can use the code SAVINGS for an extra 13% off your order, which is awesome. So stack on the deals, stack on the freebies at scrapbook.com. They got a bunch of amazing sales and deals going on right now for Black Friday week, which is so incredibly exciting. Thank you guys all so much for joining me. Again, there's links down below to other shops as well and the Black Friday deal that those are having. So if you want to shop using those links, that helps support me as well. But I really appreciate you guys coming here and joining me to sit down and craft together. It's always such a blast going live with you, and I really, really appreciate it. I'll probably see you a little bit more this week as we do Black Friday and share a couple more deals and craft with you guys during the holidays. But again, if I don't see you until Thanksgiving, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, however you're spending it, and have a great week. All right, I'll see you guys very soon for another card making and crafting video. Have a great night. Bye.